Awesome. And Liza, I am stoked to have this chance to talk with you and really dive deeper into your story. But before we do get into that piece of it, I'd love to kind of give the people who are watching this a little bit of back history of you, your diagnosis, like how long have you had diabetes?
Sure,
Are you pump or MDI, that sort of thing?
sure. All right. I was a type 2 diabetic for about 7 years. And then I noticed, and my endo noticed that things started to get a little haywire, and that everything that I had been doing to keep my numbers in line was no longer working. And I lost almost like 20 pounds without even with no effort on my part. So certainly something was not right. So we dove a little deeper and a lot more blood work, and came to the realization that I'm a type 1, that I probably was not a type 2, but it was masquerading as a type 2.
Mhm.
And bam, it hit me as a type 1. Right away she gave me a freestyle Libra and the insulin pens, and got me going. And then it was like a zigzag roller coaster, and this was January 2020, so right before the pandemic hit.
Wow.
um, and my numbers were crazy. I had been so controlled with the medication I was taking for a type 2 that this was just completely out of my realm of what is going on here. I have no control. I don't know what I'm doing. um, I'm the type of person that needs a class, that needs kind of a one-to-one, and a much more intense than you could get with a monthly meeting from a dietitian. So I was looking around for something to help me, um, and happened upon a YouTube video. I think I was looking for the answer to a particular question about, I don't know what, something to do with type 1 diabetes. And I saw a YouTube video, and you really seemed to know what was going on and have it all under control. So I dug a little deeper, and decided that you would be an excellent teacher. And you've got the program that I absolutely needed.
Oh, that's amazing to hear. And it's funny, a lot of people come in through YouTube and just me explaining like, this is my insulin pump or something, talking about diabetes, and then fall down the rabbit hole of like nutrition and fitness and blood sugars. So that's fantastic. I'm really happy to hear that that brought you into our world. And to kind of tack on, you mentioned you lost 20 pounds. I think non-diabetics hear that and they're like, what? You're so lucky. You lost 20 pounds on accident. And then we're like, well, no, it's not
It
good.
was not good. It was not good. It was very concerning because I had no basis for what was going on.
Right.
Uh, and I had been so steady for years. And then all of a sudden I'm losing weight. So, and when that happens, something is not right. And you really
Right.
need to get to the bottom of it.
Absolutely. Well, so let's talk about that for a second. What was life like before you worked with us? Like, what were you struggling with?
I was struggling um, with the pre-bolus timing, with the insulin to carb ratio. I didn't think, well, I thought that I had a slight problem with my basal rate, and right before I started talking to you, I actually made an adjustment on my own, without talking to my endocrinologist or the type 1 coach that I had. I figured it wasn't right, because I kept going low, and I would have to wake up in the middle of the night and eat, and I just had no desire to keep doing that. So
Right.
I figured it was just too strong. And when we started the basal testing, I figured that I still had it spot on because I had already done some work myself. But no, indeed, I did not. And it took me like almost 5 to almost 6 weeks to get the basal right. So anybody that's watching this, it's going to take a long time.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of people think that there's a quick fix for our blood sugars, right? And
No,
realizing that no, we've in some cases got decades of messy ratios and we're not taking the right amount of basal. And yeah, it takes some time. right, to establish that. But I mean, in your opinion, Liza, was it worth taking that time to get it settled?
Absolutely. Yeah, um, there's nothing like working on it yourself, and it's all trial and error. And eventually you hit it. But it takes a lot of effort, and I didn't think that I'd be able to fast because I'd never really done that before. But you find that you can do it, and you're
Mhm.
not going to fall over.
I think that's the key that a lot of people don't fully understand, is that, we have these parameters, these restrictions that we've been told from our doctors, from our endos, that, you can't have carbs, or like fasting is really difficult and you should have set meal times. And then all of a sudden you experiment and you're like, wait a second, I didn't die, or I didn't fall
Yeah,
over, or like it all worked out.
yeah.
If we're set with the proper frameworks, I think a lot more possibilities exist than we ever knew.
Yes, and you live your life to the fullest, and you go everywhere and do everything and tell us all about it. And there are highs and there are lows, and there are things that you didn't do quite right, but you're open about it, and you let us know that it's okay not to be 100%.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. You gotta live your life to the fullest with the best control you can achieve, but totally okay, to acknowledge that we're gonna have days where it's not perfect. Like last week I was traveling, definitely not perfect, but I had fun, stayed relatively in range, and of course shared my lessons with you guys in the podcast and all that stuff.
Yeah,
Uh,
sometimes it's about the big picture, not
mhm.
the hour by hour tracking. You just got to look at the big picture.
100%. Yeah, zooming out can offer some excellent perspective with that. So you mentioned pre-bolus insulin timing. You started to make some own changes on your own with the basals.
Mhm.
What did it feel like as you were trying to solve that problem? And we'll start with that. What did it feel like when you were trying to solve it without getting the right guidance?
Uh, Frustrating for sure, and I felt very alone because I don't have um, I didn't have a T1D support system. I didn't know anybody. Where do I go with this? Do I always call up my endo and ask her questions, every couple of days? Do I send an email to my diabetes instructor, the dietitian? Um, I just wasn't getting the support that I needed, and unless I can work from example, reading a book just doesn't cut it for me.
Hmm.
So, um, yeah, it was frustrating and alarming not to know what was going on and not to have the tools to do something about it.
Yeah, I can understand that. And what else did you try before working with us? Was there like, did you go through books? Did you go through other programs or self-experimentation? Like, what were you trying beforehand?
Uh, I was tracking what I was eating, but I didn't know how to analyze it.
Hmm.
And then I was also reading um, it was a book that you recommended, which is a very good book, but I just didn't understand how to apply some of the calculations to myself. The How to be your own pancreas, or that's not the name of it. Um,
Oh, think like a pancreas.
yes, that's it. How to think like
Yeah.
a pancreas. Yes, yes. But I was having a hard time applying that to myself.
Yeah. And I think oftentimes in any area of life, not even just diabetes, but that is the disconnect, right? Where we read the book and we're like, that's a fantastic idea. I think that's going to work. But how do I apply it to my own life? Right. And then
Exactly.
it's like, how do I implement? So, yeah, I've been there too. So it makes sense. So it sounds like reading, some trying to do it on your own. Um, I mean, you said you found us through YouTube, right? We were watching videos and started to see me as somebody who might know what they're talking about,
Yeah.
but I was still some stranger on the internet, technically speaking. So,
Yeah.
what made you take a chance on working with us?
Uh, your positivity, I think, um, and relatability. Yeah, those were the two big things. Um, yeah, that was it.
Wow. Okay. Cool. So I was watching YouTube. Hey, he knows what he's talking about, and he's upbeat and lives with type 1 himself. So I'm gonna go
Exactly.
talk to him.
Yeah, I really didn't need to look around that much more. You were the guy.
Cool. Okay, well then, going through the program, obviously now we're going through the basal testing, going through different pillars of what we teach.
Mhm.
Was there a moment that you knew it was working for you specifically, where it's like a light bulb of like, this is working? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, the tracking um, my the pre-bolus, getting that down, and understanding that for me, it's more than 10 minutes. 10 minutes is just not going to cut it. Uh, so when I finally figured out that my pre-bolus was like closer to 20 minutes,
Mhm.
sometimes 20 to 25 minutes, um, I have been I've been volunteering at the local hospital, and whenever I went there, I'd get out of my car after having breakfast, and my alarm would ring. Things are going high. Oh my goodness, I'm going to have to walk around the parking lot a couple of times. Why is this happening? And then once I figured out that my pre-bolus was like 20 minutes, there was no more highs. There was no more walking around the parking lot. It was just this steady rate all the way through. I'm like, geez, this thing works. Experimentation, predicting and understanding what works for your body.
Mhm.
That's that was very helpful. Those are key right there.
I love that. And having the clarity too of, just 10 extra minutes, right, can smooth out your whole day. And of course, it's gonna be different for everybody. So for everybody watching, you're not
Right.
gonna have the same pre-bolus as Liza or me,
Nope.
right? But that's the idea behind the program, is finding what works for you. And so for Liza, finding that balance for the pre-bolus, that's amazing. And you mentioned the hospital. Is that where you work?
That's why I do volunteer work in the mother and baby section.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
So I assume having stable blood sugars helps you be more present with the mothers and babies. Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, I love
Hmm.
that. That's
Hmm.
fantastic. And with the stability you've achieved, obviously that alone is fantastic. To have stable blood sugars, not have to walk around the parking lot, right?
Yeah,
Big plus. But I'd also like to ask you kind of, were there any shifts in your A1C or your time in range from before you worked with us to now?
absolutely. In fact, I've got my numbers right.
Oh,
Let's
cool.
see. I started with an A1C of 7.0 and 59% in range. And the last, let's see, let's go with the last 14 days. I am 74% in range, and my A1C is probably about 6.4 right now. So,
Holy cow.
yeah.
That's amazing, Liza. So you not only improved your time in range, increased it, but you also decreased the average blood sugar, which in turn decreases your A1C. Oh,
Yes.
wow.
And I've been watching that like a hawk just because it's fun to watch.
Oh, absolutely. You see that there's a positive trajectory, you're achieving your goals. It's a lot more fun to watch than watching it going, oh no, why is it getting worse? Right. So
Yes, and that was my life before uh, taking this course. Why is this happening? How come I can't make it? How come I can't work to make it better? What am I doing that I don't understand? And it was just I just didn't understand what was going on and how to make it better. But
mhm.
I feel really good about things right now.
That's awesome. And what is it like now that you're problem solved and you've got more certainty behind your blood sugars? How does that feel?
Um, a lot more freedom, a lot more confidence that I know what's going on. I know what's right for me, and I can go about and live my life with very few interruptions.
Hmm. What do you mean by that?
Um, well, I have to be mindful of where my blood sugars are. So that's something that I never had to do before my type 1.
Mhm.
Um, and I have to take my insulin pen with me,
Right.
which if you're on the pump, it's always with you. But for me, it lives in my kitchen unless I'm out and about. And then it comes with me, in my purse. I have to keep that, or my backpack if I'm going on a hike, but it always has to be with me I have to be mindful of that. That's something that I never had to do before.
Right. And is it, now that you've gone through the program, are you finding yourself thinking less about, I guess, worrying less about diabetes, which allows you to kind of be more present in the moment?
Yes, yes, absolutely. Because I know what my numbers are and where they're going,
Mhm.
uh, based on what I'm doing, then it's all good.
That's
Mhm.
amazing. And you mentioned confidence. How so?
Well, now that I don't have zigzag blood sugars any longer, it's now that it's a steady state, I've got a lot more confidence uh, just to live healthy, I guess.
Mm.
Yes.
That's awesome. So confidence in yourself, in your blood sugars,
Yep. All of that.
all of it. Oh, it's
All of it.
fantastic. Cool. And actually, I'd love to know, just kind of looking back at who you were, what you were going through before you joined the program, what advice would you give to another diabetic who is currently in your shoes before the program? As far as like if they're on the fence about whether or not they should join us and what their next step should be.
You absolutely need to get control of your blood sugars in order to lead a a independent, a free, a more carefree life, um, and a healthy life. And the best thing you could do for yourself is join a program, and it's going to be a lot of work, whether it's this program is right for you or another program, but jump on it and don't let anyone tell you that you don't need it. If you think that you do, then just do it. Don't wait.
I love that. Yeah, I think that that's an important distinction too. A lot of people think that they might not be worth it, or like they don't have to pull resources for themselves because it's hard for us to justify that, right? I need something, but then I don't want to push that off onto somebody else. But that's powerful, Liza. I like that. And I'd actually like to ask you one more question, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
Cool. I would like to know whether it's from diabetes specifically or mindset, like you mentioned, confidence or something else. What would be a gold nugget from the program that you can share with the audience?
A gold nugget.
Like an aha moment while you're going through it.
If you follow what the program asks you to do with um, writing things down, um, analyzing what you're seeing, you will see the results.
Hmm.
That's it. If you do what the program that you've worked out recommends, you will see results. You can't coast through it. There's no way to do that. You've got to put in the effort, but it's not impossible. I'm no 5-star athlete, just a regular person, and I got through it, and I'm much better for it.
That's amazing. So do the work and you get the results.
Yeah, there's no way around it. Got to do the work, you'll get the results. No one's going to tell you what your answers are. That's another thing. No one's going to tell you what your answers are. You have to do it for yourself.
I love that distinction. Kind of being your own best advocate and taking the steps for yourself. That's fantastic, Liza. Taking responsibility. I love it. Cool. Anything else that you want to share before we wrap this one up today?
Uh, Thanks very much. I will be living with this and your program in the back of my mind for forever because it's been so helpful, and I know I can go back and start charting everything if I need to, if I find some hiccups along the way. Yeah, thank you very much. It's wonderful. Keep up the good work.
Oh, thank you, Liza. And it has been an absolute pleasure coaching you and watching you go through the program. And as you mentioned, you do the work, you get the results. You did the work. And I am so proud of you for doing so, because obviously it's showing 20% increase in time and range, A1C's dropping,
Yeah.
confidence. I mean, that's wonderful to hear. So great job.
Thank you.
You put a lot of work in it. I'm really happy to hear that.
And you put a lot of work into it too, just to come up with this program. And I know it was a long road for you. So thank you very much.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. And it's a lot of fun for me as well, just to kind of walk through with your journeys, and teach you these things that I've been learning over the years. So
yeah,
that's fantastic to hear. And everybody else who's watching, thank you for joining us for this. Thank you, Liza, for sharing your story. It's a pleasure just to hear about the immense results you've been able to see as a result of your work that you put in. And for everybody who's watching the YouTube video that likely led Liza into our world, you can actually check out for free. We did a free training at diabetesinaction.com, where we actually go over a bit of what Liza learned in our program. The basal, the exercise, the nutrition. So at diabetesinaction.com, you can guys check that out. And outside of that, Liza, again, thank you. You've been amazing. And can't wait to hear the continued success that you achieve.
oh, thanks for everything, Matt.
Absolutely. Everybody else, thank you, and keep up the fight.
Bye.